Right, inflation figures out this morning show the rate at which prices rose last month fell to 2.3%, down from 3.2% in March, and just above the government and Bank of England's official target, which is 2%, so 0.3% above.
The Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, joins us now. Good morning, Chancellor. Thank you for being with us. 2.3%, the Bank of England hasn't hit its target. It's a little harder than expected. When do you think we're going to get an interest rate cut?
Morning, Martin. Morning, Susanna. Well, it's obviously going in the right direction, and that is very encouraging. And when the Bank of England have confidence that they... Excuse me a moment,
Prime Minister on the phone.
When the Bank of England... Yes, I probably said the wrong thing there, didn't I? And he was getting right on the phone to correct me. The Bank of England will start to cut interest rates. As you know, they decide that independently when they are confident that it is sustainably at its target. So today is good news for mortgage holders because it does give people more confidence that inflation is returning to more normal levels. Precisely when it happens, obviously, I don't know, but the Governor of the Bank of England has been very clear that the next move in interest rates will be down, and he doesn't expect it to be too far away.
A question from Stuart on Twitter. Will we ever go food shopping and see normal prices ever again?
It's actually the right question to ask, because even though the inflation rate has come down and people will be relieved about that, the level of prices is still a lot higher than it was 1 or 2 years ago. Now, obviously, for many people, I don't know if it's the case with Stuart, their wages will also have gone up in that period. But overall, we're not expecting them to catch up fully until the first part of next year. That's when living standards will get back, according to the Office for Budget Responsibility, to their pre-pandemic levels. So there's still a little bit of catching up to go.
Chancellor,
I mean, it's actually worse in countries
simply
like
because
Germany.
two years ago, inflation was at 11%. Who had a wage increase to cover 11% rise in bills, in cost of living, in their shopping basket? I mean, food inflation has been higher than that.
If we do food inflation, April 2022, 6.7%, April 2023, 19.1%, today, 2.9%. So food over the last 3 years has gone up a cumulative 30% higher.
Nobody's had a wage increase that can cover that.
Yes.
The Prime Minister today said people...
No,
Go on, carry on.
Sorry. I wondered if you wanted me to reply or not, but I was saying that's why it does take some time, and it will take, according to the OBR, it will take until the first quarter of next year before living standards get to pre-pandemic levels. That means that wages and prices have equalised, but real wages, in other words, wages have been increasing by more than inflation for 10 months now. So we are very much heading in the right direction.
The Prime Minister said people are feeling the benefit. Isn't that a little disingenuous? Isn't inflation getting lower? People are stopping feeling increased pain. Would you say people are feeling the benefit from lower inflation?
Well, the numbers suggest that people's confidence in the economy and their own prospects is improving. But what he and I both recognise is that it has been very tough. And that's why we took a decision when we came into office to help families with around £3,000 of cost of living support, including paying for half of people's electricity bills. Those were very difficult decisions, and indeed they had an impact on public finances. We've had to put up taxes partly to pay for that, but that was the right thing to do, and that's one of the reasons why people have seen their living standards go up since Rishi Sunak came to office, even though at the time
Chancellor,
the Office for Budget Responsibility said we were going to see a very big fall. Yes, Susanna, sorry, fire away.
We've had massive inflation. We've had a historic tax burden. We've had really high interest rates, and we've had increased use of food banks. Would you acknowledge people are worse off under your government?
Are you saying, are people worse off now than they were before the invasion of Ukraine and the energy shock?
Under your government?
Before a once-in-a-century pandemic, yes. We've been in power since 2019, yes. And indeed, living standards have fallen even more in other countries.
We've had a Conservative government, or a coalition government with the Conservatives the leading party, since 2010.
Yeah, and since 2010, living standards have gone up. Real disposable income has gone up by about £1,700 in real terms per person. And in fact, if you're looking at the bigger record, which I think is the right thing to do, by the way, we have created more jobs in this country since then than nearly anywhere else in Europe.
You honestly
We've had more
think
foreign
people
direct
feel
investment
better off
than
now?
Anywhere in the world.
People feel better off now with historic high taxes, with inflation high, with food inflation particularly high, with energy prices having been so high, and with food bank use historically high. You're telling people they're better off now than they were in 2010?
No. Oh, I'm saying, do people feel better off now than a few years ago? No, because we've had something that you and I have never had in our lifetimes. We've had two massive economic shocks in quick succession. So no, they don't feel better than they felt a few years ago. The numbers show very clearly that since 2010, over a longer period of time, living standards have improved. We've got 4 million more jobs. We've attracted more investment than anywhere in the world, apart from China and the United States. And the reason I'm saying that is because this is an election year. People are going to make a choice about the future. And when it comes to the important things that make a difference, the difficult decisions on having a flexible labour market, on getting taxes down so that we attract investment from overseas, a Conservative government will continue to take those difficult decisions.
Okay.
And that's why yesterday, the head of the... No, this is important, actually. The head of the International Monetary Fund said yesterday that we are going to grow faster over the next 6 years than France or Germany or Italy or Japan. So that's because we are prepared to take those kind of difficult decisions.
Chancellor, I want to shift to an issue that's affecting a lot of people. Some of the backbone of this country are carers. There's a benefit called carers allowance. You get too small, 80-odd quid a week if you get carers allowance. But if you earn over £151, a penny over £151, you lose that benefit. 130,000 people who've gone over by a little bit are seeing it clawed back. It is a ridiculous benefit. Most benefits work by a taper. If you go over the allowance, you lose a little bit for each amount you go over the allowance. This is a cliff edge. You may have a fiscal event in October. Will you fix the nonsense of carers allowance that means you lose the entire benefit for going a penny over? It's a disincentive to work. It's a disservice to carers in this country who are the backbone and basically cut the costs of the NHS and the state. You know, I'm sure you know about the issue. Are you going to fix it?
Well, thanks, Martin. The first thing I would say is I absolutely agree with you that carers do an incredibly important job. They save the NHS billions of pounds. They do. They have really, really big responsibilities, and we are right to support them. We are now looking into the system that makes sure that people don't unintentionally claim it when they're not entitled to it. That is the right thing to do because, although it's a very important benefit, it is paid for. Hang on, let me finish. It's paid for by other taxpayers, and so it's only fair to other taxpayers that we pay it to the people who are entitled, and that's why we're reviewing the system. There's a change in the processes to try and make sure that happens.
Will you review
the cliff edge as well, Chancellor? To answer your bigger question, do I want to make sure that we remove cliff edges in the tax system and the benefit system that stop people wanting to work? Yes, and that's why I did something that you've been campaigning for, which is increase the threshold at which you have to pay back child benefit, the high-income child benefit charge, from 50,000 to 60,000. So, of course, we'll continue to look at all measures that encourage people to get back into work.
Chancellor, we really appreciate your time. I shall send you a paper on the carers allowance cliff edge. I hope you will read it. You did on child benefit, and I appreciate that. Thank you for joining us this morning.